Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Oat finally breaks silence about his broken leg, fans in absolute shock. For months, fans of Boat and Oat have lived in a storm of emotions unlike anything the entertainment world has ever seen. Tears flooded social media. Global fan clubs held vigils. Some even tattooed messages of hope across their skin. Why? Because of one heartbreaking belief: that Oat, one half of the duo whose love story had already redefined forever, would never walk again. The story began quietly but spread like wildfire. A single photo of Oat in a wheelchair sent fans into panic. A leaked clip of Boat crying uncontrollably during an interview fanned the flames. Soon after, shaky videos of Oat being helped on crutches went viral, replayed millions of times as fans clung to every frame. Entire online communities were built around praying for his healing, sharing fan edits of Oat walking again, and writing messages like "Stay strong, Oat. Forever with you." Weeks turned into months. Boat himself, usually the steady rock, was seen breaking down at fan meetings, his voice trembling as he thanked fans for standing with us during the hardest time. Oat, meanwhile, remained silent. No interviews, no statements, no explanations. Just silence. And in that silence, the heartbreak deepened. Fans from Bangkok to New York held marches in his honor, carrying posters with his face, chanting his name as though their voices could lift him to his feet. In Brazil, a stadium full of fans lit their phone flashlights in unison, spelling out his name across the night sky. In Japan, subway walls were plastered with handmade signs declaring, "Walk again, Oat. We believe in you." The silence was suffocating. Every day, new rumors spread. Some claimed his condition was irreversible. Others whispered of secret surgeries. Some even suggested Boat was hiding the truth to protect him. Regardless of what was fact or fiction, one thing was undeniable: the world was in mourning. And then, without warning, the silence ended. On a night that will be remembered forever, Oat appeared at a press conference streamed to millions. Cameras flashed like lightning as he walked confidently onto the stage. For a moment, the room erupted in screams. Some fans collapsed from sheer shock. Reporters gasped so loudly their microphones picked it up. Social media lagged as millions tuned in at once, desperate to witness what many believed they'd never see again. Boat sat in the front row, already overwhelmed with tears before Oat even reached the podium. His hands trembled in his lap. His eyes never left Oat. When Oat finally stood at the microphone, he paused. He looked out at the sea of faces before him, at the flashing lights, at the fans holding up banners that read "Forever with you, Oat, and we never stopped believing." His eyes glistened, and the world collectively held its breath. Then, with a voice calm yet heavy with emotion, he broke his silence. "I know you've been waiting to hear from me. I know you've cried with me, prayed for me, and carried me in your hearts. Tonight, I owe you the truth." The room fell completely silent. Reporters froze. Fans clutched their phones tighter, leaning in, afraid to blink. Anchors covering the event on live television could be seen crying, unable to hold back their own emotions. Oat continued, his words steady but tender. "What you've seen, the crutches, the wheelchair, Boat's tears, it was real in your hearts. But it was not the truth you think it was. My story, my leg, it wasn't what you believed." A wave of gasps crashed through the room. Boat buried his face in his hands, shaking with emotion. Fans watching from across the globe screamed into their screens. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok all crashed under the weight of hashtags exploding in unison. #Oat speaks, #broken no more, #forever with Oat. And in that single moment, Oat had not only broken his silence, he had shattered the world's expectations. The heartbreak that had gripped millions was about to turn into something else entirely. When the gasps finally settled, Oat took a deep breath. His voice cracked slightly, but he pushed forward, his gaze unwavering. "You saw me in that chair. You saw me struggle to stand. You saw Boat's tears, and you felt every ounce of his pain. And I know how much it hurt you, because I felt your love every single day. But you need to know the truth. My leg was never truly broken." The crowd erupted into chaos. Shouts, cries, screams of disbelief shook the room. Some fans sobbed with joy, clutching their faces as though their hearts had been returned to them. Others shouted in shock, unable to process what they were hearing. Boat, his eyes red and wet, covered his mouth with trembling hands. And Oat kept going. What you witnessed, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't fate. It was part of a story, a role I've been preparing for, a movie that demanded everything from me. Every limp, every crutch, every tear you saw, it wasn't just acting. I wanted to make it real enough that the world would feel it with me. Reporters gasped audibly. Journalists who had covered global crises said they'd never felt anything this intense. Fans online screamed into their cameras, it was for a movie. Some cried harder, not from sadness this time, but from relief, from anger, from overwhelming shock. Oat's voice softened, carrying an almost apologetic warmth. I couldn't tell you. Not Boat, not the fans, not anyone. If I had spoken, if I had broken character even once, it would have ruined everything. I needed to live it, not just pretend. I needed the pain to be real, not for me, but for the story we're about to tell together on the big screen. The silence that followed was heavier than thunder. Then came the flood. Reporters shouted questions, fans cried out his name, cameras clicked uncontrollably. Social media exploded with hashtags that shook the digital world. #it was for the movie, #Oat method acting, #Boat and Oat shock the world. Some fans said they felt betrayed, their months of mourning turned into a staged performance. Others defended Oat fiercely, saying he had given the world an unforgettable experience, proof of his dedication to his craft. One viral tweet read, "Only Oat could break our hearts for months, then heal them in a single sentence. That's not betrayal, that's art." Meanwhile, Boat's reaction became the centerpiece of every broadcast. As Oat spoke, Boat's tears shifted. First they were tears of disbelief, then of relief, then finally of pride. Cameras zoomed in as he stood, unable to sit still any longer, and walked onto the stage. The two embraced tightly, Boat whispering something into Oat's ear that microphones couldn't catch, but the image alone brought fans across the world to tears all over again. Commentators were quick to label the moment the most shocking reveal in celebrity history. Newspapers declared, Oat breaks silence and breaks the internet. On talk shows, experts debated whether Oat's dedication to his craft was genius or cruelty, but all agreed on one point: no one had ever gone this far before. But Oat wasn't finished. He leaned back into the microphone, his voice now filled with emotion, his hand clutching Boat's tightly. This story isn't just about me. It's about us. It's about showing the world what love, sacrifice, and trust really mean. And soon, when the movie is released, you'll see why I had to do it this way. The announcement sent shockwaves across the globe. Fans screamed into their phones. Theaters began trending before the movie even had a release date. People across the world promised they'd buy tickets the second pre-orders opened, not because of the film itself, but because they had lived the story alongside Oat. What was once a tragedy had been reborn as history. And in that moment, the heartbreak of millions transformed into one of the most powerful celebrations the entertainment world had ever seen. The world didn't just react, it erupted. Within minutes of Oat's confession, social media platforms crashed under the tidal wave of posts. Instagram servers slowed down as millions refreshed their feeds, desperate for new clips of the press conference. Twitter, renamed by fans that night as Oat's Diary, recorded one of the highest spikes in activity in its history. TikTok was flooded with edits, reaction videos, and tearful fan rants, some screaming into pillows, others holding their phones with shaking hands as they sobbed through their words. "He lied to us, but oh my God, I've never loved him more." One fan's livestream reaction, where she fainted after realizing Oat's leg was never broken, hit 25 million views in under 6 hours. Another, from a fan in Argentina who danced in the streets screaming it was for a movie, became a global meme overnight. But the most viral reaction of all came from Boat himself. Cameras had caught him standing on stage, wrapping Oat in an embrace so tight that it seemed as if he would never let go again. A single image of that hug, with Boat's tears falling onto Oat's shoulder, became an instant symbol. Fans dubbed it the hug that healed the world. Within hours, murals of the photo appeared in Seoul, London, Los Angeles, and Manila. In Brazil, fans painted the image across the side of a building, covering 3 stories. Celebrities weighed in immediately. A legendary director tweeted, "Oat has redefined method acting. We've never seen anything like this before." A pop superstar wrote on Instagram, "I cried with him. I prayed for him. And now I realize I've been living in his story all along." That's not manipulation, that's art. Even government officials couldn't resist commenting. One prime minister joked in parliament, "We too were fooled by Oat, and perhaps he deserves an Oscar from the United Nations." The chamber roared with laughter and applause. But while the world laughed and cried, debates erupted too. Some critics called it a cruel stunt, accusing Oat of exploiting fan emotions. Others insisted that this was the future of storytelling, where the line between art and reality dissolves. A prominent film critic wrote, "What Oat has done is not acting. It is performance on a scale humanity has never witnessed. He did not play a role, he made the world his stage." Meanwhile, fans organized spontaneous celebrations. In Thailand, thousands gathered outside theaters holding candles, chanting Oat's name. In New York, Times Square was flooded with screens replaying his revelation, while crowds chanted "Forever with Oat" until sunrise. In Tokyo, fans created a 3D light projection of Oat walking across the skyline, symbolizing his return. But through all the chaos, it was Boat and Oat's love that stole the spotlight once more. Every photo, every clip, every story returned to the same central image, the two of them holding each other, smiling through tears, proving once again that their bond was stronger than any rumor, any silence, any storm. News anchors described the moment as the greatest twist in modern entertainment. Magazines called it a heartbreak that turned into history. One global outlet declared boldly on its front page, "Sparkles Oat fooled the world, and somehow, we love him more for it." Sparkles. For fans, the truth didn't erase the pain they had felt. But it transformed it into something larger, something unforgettable. They realized that they hadn't just been spectators, they had been part of the story itself. And that, more than anything, was Oat's greatest gift. After hours of chaos, tears, and celebrations worldwide, the press conference took a turn no one expected. For the first time, Oat addressed the heart of the matter, the project that had cost him months of secrecy, Boat's endless tears, and the fans' sleepless nights. He straightened his shoulders, took Boat's hand in his own, and leaned toward the microphone. His voice was calm, deliberate, and steady, like someone who knew the weight of every word he was about to speak. "I know you want answers. You've cried for me. You've prayed for me. You've lived this story with me. And now you deserve to know what it was all for. This wasn't just about me pretending to be hurt. This wasn't just a trick. This is part of something bigger, my next film." The audience gasped in unison, reporters scrambling to capture the words. Fans watching online screamed so loudly that countless live streams were filled with nothing but static from overwhelmed microphones. Oat continued. "The movie tells the story of love, sacrifice, and resilience. It's about what people are willing to give up, and how far they'll go, when the person they love the most is in pain. I had to feel it. I had to live it. And I wanted you to feel it too." His words hit like an earthquake. Fans were stunned, realizing that they hadn't just watched a performance, they had participated in it. The heartbreak, the despair, the endless prayers, they had all been woven into the fabric of the story itself. For the first time in history, millions of people across the globe had been part of a film before even seeing it. And then came the detail that silenced even the loudest critics. "This movie is not just mine. It belongs to all of us. Every tear you shed, every message you wrote, every night you stayed awake hoping I'd get better, it's all part of the film. We filmed everything. And when you sit in that theater, you won't just be watching my story. You'll be watching our story." The room erupted into screams, sobs, applause. Reporters clutched their notepads with shaking hands. Fans outside the building screamed into the night sky. Online, hashtags like #OurStoryMovie, #ForeverOnScreen, and #OatFilmLegend trended simultaneously across dozens of countries. Boat, unable to hold back his emotions, wiped his tears and pressed a kiss to Oat's hand right there on stage. Cameras flashed wildly, and the photo became an instant cultural artifact. Headlines screamed the next morning. "Sparkles, they fooled the world, but gave us forever." Sparkles. As Oat revealed more, the scope of the project became clear. The film had been in secret production for months, with hidden cameras capturing Boat's raw reactions, fans' heartbreak, and even global vigils. Oat explained that this was not exploitation, it was art, a living documentary wrapped inside a fictional narrative, something cinema had never seen before. "You weren't watching from the outside," Oat said, tears now streaming down his face. "You were inside the story. Without you, this movie wouldn't exist." Fans online described the moment as the birth of a new genre. Directors around the world posted praise, calling it a revolution in storytelling. One renowned filmmaker wrote, "What Oat has done is bigger than cinema. He has turned life itself into the stage." The announcement shook Hollywood, Bangkok, Seoul, London, every corner of the globe. Theaters reported unprecedented demand as fans vowed to buy tickets for every showtime once the release date was announced. By the end of the night, one thing was certain: Oat hadn't just broken his silence. He had redefined the future of film. And as Boat wrapped his arm around him, pulling him close while the world roared with applause, Oat whispered one last sentence that microphones barely caught but fans repeated endlessly. "This wasn't a lie. This was love."